I'd love to hear about what you're doing in that space.
Well, thank you, Janae. Thank you for joining us at the booth at the boat show here. The two things, obviously, our lifeblood is engaged, happy, productive physicians. We rise and fall in direct proportion to them. And so if they are overwhelmed, exhausted, unproductive, and depressed, that's a spiral. We suffer. Other than emotionally, just actually, we cease to exist. And so it's important to us. We have a really great mobile app, Hippocrates, and we get a lot of interaction with doctors, looking up drugs, doing surveys, and so it's a great pulse check, and that allows us to get kind of a good baseline understanding of where people are, how engaged they are, and then what's neat about Athena is that we've got a smaller group of about 100,000 doctors that are actually living on our network all day. So they check in their patients, they do their exams, it's all in. So I can look underneath and say, what are people doing that is correlated with sort of that hopeless feeling? And, first you have the stress and the responsibility, but then you have this notion of powerlessness that's so important. When you look at the strokes of a doctor's day, a large number of them are obviously, to an intellectually trained, really rigorous thinker, pointless. They are done.
Yes, yeah.
And so when you are doing that, and you are carrying the sort of a life and death, did I make a mistake, stress, and meanwhile you're poking through PDF documents of totally normal lab results, which occasionally have the wrong name against them, that's an incredibly life-destroying place to be at your normal, right? That's at your normal. This is what you do with your life. You do all this training, all these weapon systems in your mind of what you can do, and there you are, with 49% of your time, just poke your eyes out, right? And now you add something. You add a little chemical problem. You add a really bad patient event. And the normal is already, the spring is already wound. And so what's great for us is we can actually do things like in our job all day long that are practical to slightly unwind that spring, to move the state of normal to a higher percentage of your day actually doing things that require your empathy, require your judgment, and that feel good, feel like powerful.
So is that something that Athena Healthcare is doing? Because a lot of physicians, when you ask them about burnout or job satisfaction, they point to their EHR.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of fingers pointing at you.
Yeah.
So is that something that you've developed with Athena to help alleviate that feeling?
Well, exactly. So, an EHR, it's a noun, it's a thing, it's a bad thing, it's solving a problem that is not the problem of health of patients. It's solving an audit problem, it's solving a risk management problem, it's solving a billing problem, and it's solving it in a world where there are no networks, where information is disconnected. So it's a bad marriage. And that is one in which you put everything in and get nothing out. Right? An EMR is a thing into which you type stuff that you don't need an EHR to know because you already know it, so that you can later on open it up and look at it. Like, oh, thanks a lot. So what we're trying to do is get people to understand the notion that this internet thing is going to be big, right? And use the internet to create a different business model where the stuff that is written in a rule book somewhere that is algorithmic in any way, we can suck it out and make it go away and then replace it with a smaller stack of things for which there's time to think, that are judgment-oriented, that are clinically oriented, for which there is no algorithm-based right answer. So we have to start with what's required. But then what we're quietly doing, we're like wall mold. We're kind of creeping up inside and pulling out the stuff that people think of as an EHR and moving it to the cloud or to death, just doing it elsewhere.